Hey everyone, I'm Dalene Hassan. Welcome to the show. This week, Inspire Middle East is exploring the importance of cultivating culture, especially during the pandemic. We look at how the UAE is combating the challenges creatives are facing, an issue that it is a top priority for the UAE's Minister of Culture and Youth.
Currently, we're looking into digital IP protection.
Later on, we'll sound out how Jordanians are reviving traditional music rhythms using native instruments and Arabic language. Before that, let's take a closer look at COVID-19's impact on the UAE cultural stage and meet the actors keeping creativity not only alive, but flourishing, such as the country's Culture and Youth Minister, Noura Al-Kabi, who believes it's time to upgrade the cultural sector in the region. Vibrant with color and culture, the UAE is a regional creative hub for artists looking to share their work. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the country supported artists with about 140 financial grants given to individuals and companies involved in the creative sector and across 25 fields of innovation. Last year, the UAE took a seat on UNESCO's executive board. And driving the UAE's cultural scene forward is the country's Minister of Culture and Youth, Noura Al-Kabi, who remains committed to supporting innovators, artists, and the creative entrepreneurs. In addition, she is not only a champion of the UAE's UNESCO heritage sites, but also that of neighboring countries like Iraq. To learn more about her strategy for enhancing the creative sector in a post-COVID-19 world, I caught up with Her Excellency, Noura Al-Kabi. Your Excellency, a warm welcome to Inspire Middle East.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you again.
Theater halls are empty as are movie seats, and the creative entrepreneurs are struggling to find financial backing. So is culture on hold until the economy improves?
Well, culture is never on hold. And I think the pandemic proved it this way. Yes, there is a struggle and there is a challenge, and not within the culture and creative sector only, but with all sectors, and specifically the sectors that requires accessibility. There are the challenges within the small businesses and freelancers and individuals that required us as a ministry to ease such challenge and to keep, let's say, the progress going.
So what does a post-COVID-19 creative and cultural scene look like?
We will reconstruct things in a better way. Let's say the advantage of getting your content or getting your work transcend beyond a gallery border. I think in the future is how can we utilize such platform, digital platform, and just make it accessible to everyone. Isn't that the role of culture, to make it accessible to everyone, not just the ones who are privileged to be able to travel? And I think we should look into how can we complement that, how can we work on policies.
As you know, with increased digitization, more young artists are sharing their work online nowadays. So how can you protect their intellectual property?
We certainly look into it very seriously, working very closely also with the Ministry of Economy. Currently, we're looking into digital IP protection. And that by itself is more of a global discussion due to the pandemic. And I think the web sphere is a sphere that makes us embed certain policies. Such policies, number one, need to protect the artists. We also require to spread more awareness about how to protect their artwork and what such policy will entail, and therefore enable them. It encourages them to share more of their work. It's a sector that is crucial, and it's a sector that talks the future. Nowadays, Dalene, it's a sector that is very vibrant.
So how does the creative industry contribute to the greater economy?
It's a sector that is linked to a license. The license is a business license, therefore it's a business environment. Therefore, there are job creations that are happening in that sector, yet having the right measurements for the sector and identifying the creative jobs that this sector will provide. So there are the events, and there are the institutions, and there are the thousands of media and creative agencies that are within the UAE that requires us to look very closely and focus on the sector, identify, benchmark the sector, measure it in a way that, from a numerical perspective, I know the importance of the sector.
As an active member of UNESCO, what's your take on altering preserved historical sites and museums, such as the case happened recently with Hagia Sophia in Istanbul? The former museum turned into a mosque.
I remember visiting Hagia Sophia, and for it to be incarnated as a museum, as a testimony that it's for all, you know, it's for different cultures, from different backgrounds, different faiths. Now, talking about as well using certain elements of a political agenda or an ideology, that's what hurts culture. There's disharmony. It defeats the purpose of coexistence. It defeats the purpose of having a place that is inscribed as a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO, and turning it and limiting its accessibility, labeling it in such a way, and taking it, unfortunately, in a more of a place that serves that agenda. I think that is that even what happens with destruction in Syria or in Iraq. I'm with having a status that is more open, more global, more welcoming, that looks into a place of a thriving place of learning and education and respecting everyone's backgrounds.
Staying on the topic of cultural exchange, with the strong ties between the UAE and Israel due to the Abraham Accords, how can its impact be reflected in the daily life and overall mindset for the people in the UAE and Israel?
Culture will be the bridge, like anything else. We saw great Emiratis speaking the Hebrew language and very fluently. We saw them; some of them even know how to, know what kosher food is.
We saw some songs.
We saw some songs, and there are certain songs that are also being filmed as we speak. I would tend to look into how we would look at the Israeli literature and how can they look at the Arabic literature. Let's say the next 50 years, I mean, for the children we see today, I just want them to see a different page that we always, or we used to see in our newspapers, or we used to be taught in our schools. That's my dream.
We wish all your dreams come true. Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Dalene.
It's said that the music is the universal language, and in Jordan, Arabic covers of international songs have become a major hit in the region. Rosalie Thompson has the story.
Does this tune ring a bell? Well, these Jordanian musicians, known as kalamaske, are adapting Western pop music into classical Arabic songs. Here they've transformed Chandelier by Sia into this rendition. Ayub Tams is fascinated by languages and speaks 7 himself. But it was his love for his mother tongue that inspired him to set up the group. Despite there being more than 420 million Arabic speakers around the world, he believes the use of classical Arabic in pop music is in decline.
What we're trying to do in Kalamask is make Arabic language beautiful in the eyes of those who haven't had the chance to appreciate it yet.
In 2016, the group released their first single, Ahwak, a translated version of Beyoncé's Crazy in Love. And the song went viral. It now has over 5.6 million views on YouTube. Working with local singers, Ayub has translated and produced more than 20 covers from artists such as Selena Gomez, the Backstreet Boys and Sam Smith. Despite attracting a global fan base, finding funding for the project hasn't been easy. Limited funding to protect cultural heritage in Jordan often means the task is left to passionate individuals. Beit Al Ney is another group who are pulling out the stops to save the traditional Arabic ney flute from being forgotten. If you listen closely to music from renowned artists such as Kulthum and Fairuz, you'll hear it. Today, few Jordanians know how to play the classical flute. In 2018, 4 flautists set up Beit Al Ney in the hopes of reigniting interest in the instrument.
It is considered the mother of all wind instruments. It transformed from an instrument that I loved personally into a cultural heritage that needs to be saved before extinction. Since there are not many ney makers or players, so it began to disappear, even though it's one of the pillars of Arabic music.
The center hosts a variety of activities, from performances and lessons to visitors even being able to craft their own ney. After struggling to find a ney flute supplier, teacher Rabbi Zurakat took it upon himself to make his own. He now handpicks bamboo from a farm in East Jordan to ensure there's always a flute on hand for those eager to learn. The flautists hope that by teaching the youth this ancient instrument, generational music gaps can be bridged and the youth will be inspired to build a connection with their musical past.
Well, that's where we must leave our show for now. Before I sign off, check out these posts by creative Instagrammers that caught our attention this week. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.
US-based Iraqi dancer Fadi shared this photo to inspire creativity in others during the pandemic. And Colombian singer Vera called the recording studio her second home.